Okay, let's begin. Welcome again. Thank you for your time in joining this appraisal workshop that we have. So this is a guided workshop where we explore the features of Just Login's appraisal module. And this workshop will be divided into different sections, but before that, as part of the house rules, these are just the rules that we have. Everybody will be on mute first so that we don't have any background noise. We do not interrupt the session. And then camera is optional. If you want to turn on the camera, it's fine, but if it's not, it's also okay. And for the questions, you can ask anytime. You can type in your questions in the Q&A box that you see on the there's a Q&A box that you see below on the menus, and we will be answering the questions in the Q&A at the end of the session. And I have some colleagues who will also be assisting the questions that you guys will be sending. Agenda. So, what are we going to cover today? Number one, you will meet the appraisal module. What is this all about? What it does and how you can organize it. Number two will be the end-to-end workflow. There are 6 steps from a blank form to finished report. So we will be exploring also the 6 different steps in creating an appraisal form. Number three would be the insights and reporting. We will give you 6 different built-in reports that will help you read the results based on the appraisal forms that we will be releasing, and the last part will be the live demo. So I'll be explaining first using this presentation, and then after discussing, I'll be doing a live demo so you get to see how it is being done inside the system. Okay, section one. Let's meet the appraisal module, what it does, and how it's organized. Let's begin by getting to know the appraisal module and what it can do. I've grouped it I've grouped its main capabilities into 5 different categories. Number one, we have the customizable forms, templates for confirmation, promotions, annual reviews, and more. So you can create different appraisal templates that will be used to release these forms to our employees so they can answer. Normally, we do the appraisal annual review every year and to hear from our people, to get to know their feedback about themselves, about their colleagues. But aside from the annual review, we can also use the appraisal module to get feedback. Let's say you are planning to promote someone, you are planning to confirm a staff, or just a simple employee satisfaction survey. So you can make use of the appraisal forms by customizing and creating your own form. Next would be the 360-degree review. Instead of receiving a feedback directly from a manager, employees can also receive evaluations from multiple reviewers in just a single appraisal form. Because we can send this appraisal review form to be answered by the staff via self-review, a manager review, peer, upward, indirect managers. We have different set of reviewers. Third would be the AI form builder. We suggest questions by category you can review, edit, and use. So this AI form builder is actually a helpful tool for the admins like us. If you are the one who's creating the forms, the questions that you'll be launching to your staff, we have this AI form builder to help you create questions that will be asked on that category. Though, of course, you can also create your own questions depending on what you want to ask, but these are more on suggestions. Next would be the progress tracking. We have a live dashboard that shows a completion across the review types. We can check these progression in our review stage pages. And we also have, of course, the last, which is the reports and analytics. We have built-in reports. There are 6 reports currently that we have, and they are ready-made reports. So as long as we keep on receiving feedbacks, answers, response from our reviewers that we've assigned, the reports are always ready. Of course, later we'll explore what are these reports. How it's organized. When the appraisal module is added on your account, you will see the appraisal module on the left panel side of the screen as part of the list of the modules you have. And if you're the admin, when you click on it, you will see 5 different menu. So if you notice the first two, we have dashboard and the my dashboard. The first dashboard, this is the administrator dashboard, where the admins can monitor the progress and the status of the active cycles. Active cycles, these are the review cycles that we release that are not yet completed, or if we haven't released the results yet. So the first menu is the admin dashboard. Second menu, the My Dashboard, is the employee dashboard. This is where the staff can see the forms assigned to them and the statuses. Um, of course, as an employee, if you do not have an admin rights, you are not a super admin, you are not an administrator for your appraisal module, you can only see the forms listed that are pending for your approval. Third would be the forms. So this menu will allow you to create appraisal forms, appraisal templates. You can view also the existing ones that you've created before. And the good thing about the forms here in appraisal is that we can reuse them. For example, the annual review that you want to release every year is totally the same with the questions you've asked last year. You can reuse that. Or, for example, the promotion forms. If you just want to ask the same questions, you can reuse the forms that you've created before. And the fourth will be the review cycles. This is where we create our review cycle, we release, we track the review cycles for our employees. Forms, these are the form or the questionnaires that our employees will answer. And then review cycle, this is to where we release our this is where we release our forms, we assign the reviewees, and we collect responses. Last menu would be the reports. These are the 6 reports that we have in the system that are ready-made. Section 2, the end-to-end workflow. This is the 6 steps from a blank form to a finished report. So this is the 6-step workflow. We've simplified all the steps because we need to have like a concrete flow. How are you going to manage? How are you going to use the appraisal module? So in this 6 step, we will explain each steps and we will explore what are the things that we can do, what are the things that we should consider in doing each step. In the step 1, create the review form. Everything starts with a form. So we need to make sure that we know how to create the forms, we know what to add there, we know what to ask, we know what we need. When the forms are created, as I've said earlier, we can actually reuse them. And then we go to the step 2. When the form is ready, step 2 would be create the review cycle. And creating the review cycle, this is the time where we assign who will be reviewed, who are going to review, and what is the form that we will require them to answer. After that, the step 3, this will be the time where you publish and launch the review cycle. At this point, employees will be notified that there is a form that is waiting for, or there is an appraisal form that is pending for their response. Then step 4 would be the employees respond. At this point, the administrators don't do anything because we just wait for the employees to respond. Usually we give them a few days for them to submit all their answers. Then step 5 would be for the admin to reviews. At this point, it's okay to start reviewing the results even if the entire cycle is not yet completed. Because at this point as well, we can check who are the staff who didn't respond yet, who are the managers who didn't submitted their response yet. So we can also send reminders. And lastly would be the report generation, calibration, releasing of results, and a lot more. So this is the 6-step workflow that we have in appraisal. In the step 1 of 6, and building the review form. There are 4 steps that you also need to follow for you to create a correct form. In number 1, we have to go to the appraisal module, and then we have to go to the forms. And then there is a button there to create a form. And number 2 is to create a form title. In creating a form title, I would suggest that we make it very clear. If I'll be creating later 2026 annual review for an LC company, I have to be very clear that it's for 2026. So when my staff will see that they are required to answer that form, they would know it's for the 2026 annual review. And if you are planning to reuse that form, then you can use a generic one. I have a sample later. I'll show you. I have an employee satisfaction form, promotion form that I reuse. Number 3 is to create a category. In the process of creating the category, you need to create or come up with a category name. You also need to answer who are going to answer, who will be the reviewers of this category, and the factor weightage, which we'll explain later. In each category, we can add questions. In adding the questions, there are 3 ways. We have the manual way, template import, and AI generation. Every category, we need to come up with questions that are related to that. For example, you're creating an annual review and you want to get the feedback about the workload of the employees. So the category could be task workload, job workload, or anything. And then you can create questions related to that category. In creating those questions, you can do manual. Manual is the simplest way, of course, to add questions where you type it one at a time. Second would be the template import. So there is an Excel file that you can actually download in the forms page, and you will be entering all the questions there and you will be uploading it. That's a faster way also. But the third way is the AI generation. This is related to the AI form builder as part of the capabilities earlier, because as long as you created the category, you named it, you assign who will be reviewing it, then you can use the AI to create questions for you. The AI the AI question generation will give you a lot of questions. I'm not quite sure how many specific questions they will be giving you, but it's not required that you will be using them, because even though the AI will suggest question, you can remove, delete, or edit the questions suggested by AI. Still, a part of the forms creation, with every question that you'll be creating, you need to you need to decide how are you gonna accept the answer types, and publishing it. Because every question, you need to choose the answer type. So I have here 6 different answer types, but in the system we have more. Number 1 is the free text. Free text, we allow the reviewers to share their thoughts, their feedback, or anything that they want to answer. And then KPI stands for the key performance indicator, where there is a scale that they can drag from 0 to 100. So if you want an answer that's more on the scale side, so you use KPI. Binary is actually a 2-point scale. It can be yes or no, agree, disagree, or you can rename the options. Then we have the 3-point scale, 4-point scale, 5-point scale, like meet expectations, below expectations, and you can rename them. In every question, choosing the answer type is important. And if you want to add more categories, more questions, you can do that depending on how you want to design your form. When you're done creating the categories and questions, there are 2 buttons that you can click from that page. You can save it as a draft or publish. But please remember that a form must be in the published status before you can assign it in the review cycle. In the step 2 of 6, when the forms are created, next we create the review cycle. In the review cycle, there are 5 stages that you have to not really answer, set up. 5 stages that you need to set up in the system. In the stage one, in the cycle detail, this is where you create what is this review cycle for. Let's say this is Nelsie's promotion, or what else? 2026 Nelsie Company annual review, something like that. So on the cycle details, you'll be creating the name of the review cycle. You will be selecting who are you going to review, and you'll also be selecting who will be the reviewers. So once the stage one is done, the second stage will be the select the review form. Earlier in the step number one, it's on the creation of forms. In the stage two, you will be linking now the forms that you've created in this review cycle, what forms you want the reviewers to answer. Stage three will focus more on the scoring and grading. Scoring, this is where we set up our score normalization and our grading system, because we can customize the grades that we have, and we can actually rename it, label it, depending on how your staff would understand the gradings. The grading will also help us to generate reports later. Stage four would be the review sequence. So we have different reviewers, right, which I'll discuss on the next slide. So each reviewers will be assigned into sequence. And in creating the review cycle, we can actually drag them to allow more than one reviewer to answer at the same time. For example, if originally in the sequence one, only the employee can answer, sequence two, only the manager, sequence three, maybe the peers. But if you want everybody to answer at the same time, you can drag all those reviewers into sequence one so everybody can answer whenever they want. They don't need to wait for a specific person to finish before they will be allowed to answer. That's the sequencing. And then stage five will setting up the due dates and reminders. We can set up due dates, especially if this is an annual review and you need the result to be up and ready by November, for example. So you set up your due date, and we can also send reminders to the participants or to the reviewers who are still pending. Next, who reviews whom? In the Just Login Appraisal module, we have this 360-degree review, meaning everybody can review everyone. But the most common is the self review, meaning we allow the employee to review themselves. This one is actually very helpful, especially if you're the owner of the company or if you're the manager and you want to know how the staff consider themselves, how are they going to rate themselves. So we also have this self review. Next, the manager. The manager review is most common, right? Because we want to know what is the ratings or what is the feedback of a manager to their people. And this is automatic from the supervisor setup in our people module. We also have, aside from the manager, we also have the indirect manager, because some companies, they do have a manager and they also have like sub managers or team leaders within the team, right? So in appraisal, we also have indirect managers who can answer auto from the indirect manager setup. This is in the user admin. Next would be the upward. The subordinates review their upward. To simply explain this, a member rating the manager. So if I have a manager, then I am the upward. And peers, manually assigned per reviewee. These are the colleagues. It can be within the same department, it can be within the company. Peers are manually assigned because the admin who are creating this review cycle will be the one who will be answering my appraisal from the peers I have, from the people I'm working with. So if you want to know how I work or how a staff work, it's also better to hear from the people, to hear from the peers within the company. So this is a 360-degree reviewee. The rest of the steps from launch to report. Step three will be the publish and launch. Step four, employee respond. Step five, admin to review. And step six would be the generate reports. So if you're the admin, mainly the work is done on step one and step two. Because when on the step three, when you publish it already, you need to give time to wait for response, to review the results, and to generate reports. So mainly the work is on the step one and two. Okay. So those are the 6 steps how you can successfully create an appraisal form and launching. Section 3 would be the insights and reporting. We've said earlier that there are 6 built-in reports that will read your result, and these are the names of the reports that we have. So the rating report discusses the overall rating distribution. So if you want to focus more to see what would be the ratings result, what would how the manager rated their staff, so you can make use of our rating report. We also have the individual performance report. One employee, full picture. So let's say the management ask everybody to send the feedback on me. So my peers, myself, my manager, everybody answered the survey for me. So using the individual performance report, the administrators can see how people see me in the company, how people rated me, and the feedback that they shared with me. That is in the individual performance radar report for you to see the strength gaps at a glance by giving you a line chart report or a bar report. And radar report is only available for those review cycles that you have released. And then average score, mean scores across factors. So the average report is actually um, one of the reports that I really like because you can get the result not just with one review cycle. So for example, I am a staff and the admin already launched several review cycles for me. A promotion, employee satisfaction, annual review. And if I want to see what are my scores in all those 3 different review cycles, we can use the average score to see everything in just one report. We also have the calibration report so we can compare and align the ratings fairly. The calibration report will this is where admins are involved. Calibration is if ever there are people who did not submit who did not respond to the forms, then the administrators can do an adjustments or they can just manually enter the score. In the calibration report, it will allow you to see what is the score before calibrating and score after the calibrating, or the before and after the calibration. Because calibration will also be used, let's say the results are out. The manager will talk to the person, will talk to the employee to discuss the results that we have taken from the survey. And based on that, the manager and the staff will talk to calibrate, is this the score that we will be saving for you? So we can get that type of results in the calibration report. And lastly, with the grade report, the final grades by employee, and it has something to do with the grades that you will be creating in the process of preparing the forms. Meaning, if you did not create any grade when you are creating the review cycle, you did not create anything, then you cannot generate a grade report. Okay, so those are the 6 reports that we have in the appraisal. We're now on the live demo. The fourth section of this training will be on live demo. Let me stop sharing my screen first and I'll transition to my demo account. Hold on. I'll share my screen again. Okay. So this is the demo account that I use for training. And as you can see, I am already logged in. And once you are logged in, you will see the general dashboard and your profile and the list of modules that you have on the left panel side. So you'll see the appraisal module here. When you click on it, these are the menus that we've discussed earlier. The dashboard, which is the administrator dashboard, where you can see the recent review cycles, the active reviews, and other data. We also have the My Dashboard as an employee dashboard where you can see those um, appraisal reviews that are still pending, yet to begin, and completed surveys. We also have the forms where we will be creating the forms later. This is the review cycle where we add a new review cycle later too. And lastly would be the reports. Okay, so these are the reports. But first thing is that we need to know who are the employees that are allowed to see and use the appraisal module. If you're the super admin, you need to make sure that you tag them first as an appraisal module user. From your account as the super admin, you have to go to the user admin and check the appraisal box if this box is ticked. So you'll see the list of the staff, right? You go to the right side, look for the appraisal, and make sure the box is ticked. Because if the box isn't ticked, you cannot assign this person to use the appraisal module. Also, you also need to consider what is the role that you are giving to a staff. Let's say this employee, Oliver. When you click the name of the staff and you scroll down, you see the employee roles here. If this person do not own or do not have an admin rights, this person will just submit review. So make sure the appraisal user is ticked. Then if you allow this employee to create a review cycle for you, then you tick the cycle administrator. And if you allow this employee to create forms, to release review cycles, to read reports, then tick the appraisal administrator. But if it's just a plain user, a regular employee, just make sure appraisal user is ticked. Then you can save. So that's how you can make sure a staff is allowed to use the module. Now let's go into the system appraisal. And we will be creating first a form. I've decided to create an annual review form because this is the most common example that we have. So I will go now to the appraisal forms. So in the appraisal forms, you can already see the list of the forms that you have created in the past. Because, for example, this one I just created today, manager survey, appraisal test, employee promotion form, employee satisfaction form. I have a 2025 annual review, 2024 annual review, employee confirmation form. Because these forms can be reused, but I'll be creating a new form. So click this, create a form, and you can preview the form later before you officially publish it or save it. In the form title, I will be specific. 2026 annual performance review. Then I'll add the company name, Nelsie Test. And then this is where you will be creating the categories and questions. If you remember earlier, the categories, these are the, for example, job performance, teamwork, time management, and each category, you can come up with questions. So the first category, I'll use this category 1, job performance. Next, who will be doing the review? So since this is an annual review, I let the staff review themselves. I will let the manager to review themselves. I will let the peer and upward. Or I can also remove the upward. So we only have 3 examples because usually these are the most commonly used, self-manager and the peers. Now, in each category, we need to create questions. So if you recall, there are 3 ways to add questions, right? This blue button add question is the manual way of adding the questions. This is the download template. This is the template import of importing your questions. And this AI is the recommended questions. But I will be creating it manually first. I'll add a question. The question title, you need to type here. I've prepared these questions already. Consistently completes assigned task on time and delivers quality of work. I can remove this number 1 here. And then you can add descriptions. and add a tooltip. This tooltip is like a small icon that they see. So before they answer this question, they can hover their mouse to see what is their tooltip message. And in the answer type, these are the list of answer types. Free text, like what I said earlier, they are free to add anything, free to share their thoughts, their feedback, or answers in that question. We also have the KPI, Key Performance Indicator, where they can drag this icon from 0 to 100%. We also have these other configuration like higher is better, lower is better, base target, target, stretch target. We also have the binary, the two option, yes or no, or I can use this agree, disagree. I can rename. Then we have a 3-point scale. We have a 4-point scale here and 5-point scale, which we can rename, by the way. We also have the number. We also have the percentage and the date, if it's applicable. But in this question, I would like to use a key performance indicator. So I let the staff just drag the score from 0 to 100. And then you can also tick this to allow comment, to allow attachments if needed. And then you can save. So when the question is created, it looks like this. So I'll create one more. Okay, and then I will use KPI, save. So as you can see, I have two questions. Two questions already for the category 1 job performance. These questions, you can actually decide which question goes first by dragging the questions here. And you can also edit, you can delete, and you can click the star icon to mark it as a required question. Because if you do not require them, the employee can submit their answers without actually answering those questions. So for me, if I'll be the one to decide, it's better that you take this mandatory configuration. So this is the manual way of adding questions. We also have the bulk way and the AI. So for the AI, if you want to see how or what are the questions that the AI will give you, just click this icon. But of course, the two questions I created, it will stay there. The AI will just give me more suggestions. Those questions created by AI, you see this um purple label, AI question. But when the staff will answer, of course, they do not see the AI question. And you can also delete those questions that you don't want to keep. Let's say you wanna keep only 4 questions or 5 questions in that category. So you can do that. How many do we have? Let me check. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Still a lot. Let me delete some more. Okay. I'll delete more. Okay, I have 5. Now let me discuss now this weightage and allow employees to submit their own KPI. So this weightage is how we weigh how important this category is. So in this title, 2026 Annual Performance Review, since I only have one category, this category weighs 100%. But what if I want to have 4 categories in this annual review? So each category would weigh 50% by default. But you can change this. Let's say this category about job performance weighs 60%, and then the other category I'll create later will just be 40%. What's important is that all the categories that you have, regardless of how many categories you have, it must be equal to 100%. But in each category, we also have question weightage. These weightage per question should be a total of 100%. So even if I add one more category, I'll turn this on. So this will be 50, this will be 50%, right? But the questions here inside the category 1 should have a total of 100%. So I'll keep it this way. I'll add the second category later. Now this settings allow employees to submit their own KPI is more like a collaboration with the administrators and the employees. Because when we say allow employees to submit their own KPI, we allow them to suggest questions that they want to ask in this form. But I haven't really I tried it, I tested it, but it's up to you if you want to allow this type of collaboration form where you get feedback from the people, you allow the employees to submit their own questions, and then if you're the admin, you have the option to decide later on, are you going to accept that question suggestion or you're not? Because you can approve or reject that. In this example, I will not be using it because I have used AI to create questions. Now, for the second category, I'll be using teamwork and communication, and self manager peer. I'll just manually add the question. Hold on, I'll just add it here. And then this is also a KPI. Allow comment, save. I'll just add one more. And then KPI. Allow comment and then save. So for the category one, I have 5 questions. Category two, I only have 2 questions. That's why the weightage for each questions is both 50%. But on the category one, each questions weighs 20% only, and I'll make all the questions mandatory. I would also be suggesting that if ever you will be creating a form and the answer type, if possible, must be the same, because if ever that, for example, this question, your answer type is binary, and then the other questions, the answer type is 3-point scale, then the other types are number. So you might get a different result. Not really a different result, but it's just more consistent and more organized if in each categories all the answer types are the same. So I think I'm all good with this form that I'll be creating for the annual review. So you can preview the form to see how does it looks like. So when the staff will answer, this is how it looks like. Since I used KPI, they can actually drag their scores. And if you scroll down, you see 2 buttons here: save as draft and publish. So I will publish because only published status will be allowed to be used in creating a review cycle. So we're done in creating a form. So let us now move on to the step two, which is to create a review cycle. Most of the time, we get questions because people are confused. What is the difference of the form and the review cycle? Because people normally think that it's the same. Many users that Many users think that forms and review cycles are the same, but they actually serve a different purpose. Forms are simply appraisal templates. So when you create a form, the staff don't see it. It's really important that you create a review cycle for the staff to receive a notification that there is a form that is waiting for their response. So I'll go now to the review cycle. I will be creating a new review cycle. So from this page, you can see all the list of the review cycles I have before, I have in the past, the percentage completion, the title, the due date, the assigned reviewees, and the status and action. So I'll add a new review cycle. So I'll name it 2026 Annual Performance Review. Then in the employees, these are the people that we are rating. So I will just be selecting some, not everybody, for demo purposes. I'll use Nelsie and Ava. Only two. And then who are going to review? Self. So we see Ava and Nelsie reviewing themselves. We also have manager because Nelsie is the manager of Ava. We also have the peer. So in the peer, this is how it works. Peer are not assigned automatically because every reviewees or every employee that you select, you need to assign a peer to them. Let's assign. So this is for Ava. This is for Nelsie. For Ava, who will answer the review for Ava? It will be Gary. Let's find more. It can also be Ara. Done. And then for Nelsie, I will let Billy. And then done. So there are three peers. Two peers for Ava, one peer for Nelsie. For Nelsie, no manager. So this is the first part, the stage one. This is the stage one, stage two, three, four, and five. Stage one focuses more on the details of your review cycle. Then you need to click next to go to the second stage. So in the second stage in the form, this is where you decide what form this reviewees will be answering. For example, self. Who is the self? Nelsie and Ava, right? So they will be answering the 2026 Annual Performance Review Nelsie test. This is the form I created earlier. Take note that you cannot see the form in the list if you did not allow self to answer that. We also have other settings. Allow reviewers to amend after submission tick if it's necessary. Then we allow the manager to view the self review. And then we also allow to we notify the admin when the self review is complete. Let's go to the manager. Manager will also answer the same form, the 2026 review, and then what else? Notify the admin. For the peers, they are going to answer the same form. And then this one is very helpful. Keep reviews anonymous. For peers, for upwards, it is allowed. The reviewer will submit the review as an anonymous reviewer. So even if we release the result, even if Ara or Ava will see the scores, the comments, and everything, that person wouldn't know who submitted that comment, who submitted that score. So let's keep it anonymous. And then we notify the admin too. And then this is the second stage, selecting the form in each reviewer category. Then we go next. Next would be the scoring. So isn't it we have three reviewer role, the self, the manager, and the peer. Later in the process of generating the reports, we will be getting the average. We would want to know what is the average. And since we used the weightage earlier, there is also another role weightage here in the scoring. But this time, since it's three reviewer role, we will be using 33, 33, 34 because the weightage must be 100. This is the score this is the score normalization. So normalization kicks in when not every category in a review form has been answered or scored, because some questions you might release them even though you did not tag them as mandatory. And if it's not mandatory, reviewers can submit their answer even if they don't answer a particular question, a particular category. And when you use the score normalization, it actually, how do I say it? It actually the unanswered questions or categories, the score normalization somehow distributes the score so that at least when you generate a report, you still see a fair score. So I'll be using minimum of 0 to maximum 100, and this is our grade. This is related to the grade report. If you do not create any grades, then you cannot generate a grade report. So for example, if the score is 0 to 80 or 0 to, yeah, 80 meets expectations. And then I'll add a range. This is from 81 to 100. Exceeds expectations. And you can also tick this if you need the grading, or if you do not need, if you want to disable the grading, then you can just click on it to turn off. Then we go next. So this is the sequencing, the stage 4. Originally, this is the sequence created by the system. In the sequence 1, we wait for the person to review themselves. When the self is done, then sequence 2 starts to answer, which is the manager. When the manager is done, we let the sequence 3, which is the peers, to answer. If self is not done yet, submitting the appraisal form, the manager and the peers cannot answer yet because it's still pending. But if I'm going to drag the sequence 3 going to the sequence 2, when self is done, manager and peers can answer at the same time. So that's how it works. And if you want everybody to answer anytime, so just drag it going to the sequence 1. So nobody needs to wait for anybody. They can answer whoever is available. Okay, so that's the sequence. Then let's go next. I'll keep it this way, sequence 1 and 2 only. Then I'll go next, and it's more on the notification side. Late submission due date. So let's say this annual review, I'll set the due date to November 30, 2026. Set reminder to submit review. When do we remind them? Maybe 2 days before the due date, or maybe 5 days before the due date. We also tick this invite reviewers to review, so that in the sequence 1 is self. When self is done, when it's the turn of the peers and the managers to answer, they will receive an email. So this is very helpful. And we also tick this notify the admin when the entire cycle is completed for an employee. Let's say everybody, the self, manager, the 3 peers I assigned, everybody finish. The status would be 100%. Then we notify the admins. And then we publish. There is a confirmation. Do you want to launch this review cycle? Then go launch it. When it's launched, you'll receive a confirmation here, and you will see the review cycle created here. At this point, the employees or the people who are assigned to answer the appraisal form will be receiving an email like this. I just received it. Let me share it on the screen. So here, hi Nelsie. Nelsie has initiated the review cycle 2026 annual performance review. Please find your task to do. So see, this is how it looks like. So just imagine if you will be creating a 2026 annual performance review to all the staff, and you have, let's say, 50 employees, everybody will receive this email. Now I'll show you how a staff can answer. They have to go to appraisal and then my dashboard, because this is the employee dashboard. In the my dashboard, they will see all the pending. So this is the self review for the 2026 annual performance review, and the status is yet to begin. I cannot view it yet because I haven't answered it. So I will click the pencil icon to fill response. And this is how the staff would be answering the form. The form will depend on how you created it earlier. So this is the category 1 job performance. This is the KPI style, because I can drag this icon to what score I want to give. Since this is me, I'll rate myself 198. And then I can add a comment. I can attach a file. And question 3 here, 94. I can just drag anything. And then next would be the category 2, teamwork and communication. Drag there, submit. When you submit, there will be a a green icon success there, but it is actually submitted. So you would know as a staff that you've completed it when the status will changed to completed. So I'll go back on the admin. Since Nelsie submitted already, right? How do we see that? The admin can go to the review cycle because in the review cycle, this progress is now updated. If you click on it, the name of the review cycle, you will see the performance review. So in the self, 1 out of 2 is done. So see this, Nelsie finished, Ava not yet. These are the manager, these are the peers. If you want to see the peers, who are they? There is an eye icon to see that. This one, this is this bell icon. It's actually a reminder. Since Ava haven't answered yet, we click this send reminder, then yes. So at this point, Ava will receive another email reminding the staff to submit. These two buttons is used for calibration and releasing of the result. Calibrate, as I've said earlier, this is when amendments and adjustments will be done. I will click calibrate. So this is the result. So this is Ava, this is Nelsie. The overall score so far is for Nelsie from the accounting side. The overall score is 94.5% based on how I answered earlier. But for Ava, still 0 because Ava did not answer yet. So since she did not answer, I'll just give a rating of 90. And then this 94, I'll make it 96. And then save all. That's how you calibrate. And then if I want to release this result so that Nielsen could see it already, there is a button to release. By releasing it, it also means that Ava and managers and peers can no longer submit their responses. But as long as the due date is not passed, the results are not released, the pending people that we're still waiting to submit, they can still, but I will release now. So that cycle is done. That cycle I have released already. Now, last part would be the reports. So there are 6 different reports available, right? Let's start with the rating report. It focuses on the performance summary or more on the score. So if I will be choosing the 2026 annual performance review, I can see this result like this. Let me show you other example. Employee satisfaction form. So this is how it looks like if all the people will submit their answers. All the reports that we have in appraisal can be downloaded via Excel and via PDF. Aside from that rating report, we also have the individual performance report to see the performance. For example, employee satisfaction. These are the old forms and old appraisal forms I created before. So employee satisfaction, I got a feedback from Jerry, Billy, and Nelsie. This one, this is their score. And if you hover your mouse, you can see what is the question I ask in each line. So this is the performance report summary. Next report that we have, the radar report. What can I use this one? Employee satisfaction, generate. So we can see this under the category company benefits, what is the score? And then let's try this 2026 annual performance review. So based on because I answered right, category 1 job performance, the score I gave to myself is this, and on the category teamwork and communication, this is what I gave myself. So this is a radar report. Take note again that radar report are only available if you have released the result. If you haven't released the result of your review cycle, then you cannot generate a radar report. Average score report, like my example earlier, if I did an employee satisfaction, I did the 2026 annual review, and I also participated in a random survey for Nelsie. If I want to know how I performed with all these types of surveys that was sent out, you can use this multiple cycles, 1 employee, you generate. So you get to see how I performed. So this is the employee, right? So in the employee satisfaction, I rated it 97. In the 2026 annual performance review, I rated myself 94. And the average would be 73% because a random survey just have 26.96 score. So this is the average scoring across all the different appraisal forms. We also have the calibration report I showed you earlier. When we calibrate, it's more on doing an adjustment. In the calibration report, this is the overall score before the calibration and after the calibration because of the adjustments. Not sure if I do have one more example here. Um, 2025. Let's see if I have. Okay, this one. So in this 2025 annual evaluation, four did not answer, so I did add their scores manually in the calibration earlier. And then last report that we have, the grade report. So the grade report is only available if you will be creating the grades in the review cycle. Earlier, I did create grades for all. Okay, so Ava meets expectation. Nelsie exceeds expectation. I think I have one more here. Um, for all. Okay, this one. Employee satisfaction form that I have in this example. All of them are part of the grade outstanding. Again, all the reports that we have can be downloaded in Excel, can be downloaded in PDF. There are other things that you can explore in using our appraisal module. But for today's discussion, actually, that would be all. Let me stop sharing my screen, and that would be all for me. Key takeaways, maybe few parts that I want to share before um before we go to the Q&A, that this appraisal form will really help you manage if you want to get feedback from your staff, especially if you're promoting someone, if you want to hear the feedback from your employee, how the company is managing everything. So you can use the appraisal module not just during year end for the annual review. Okay, so that would be all from my side. And if you have any questions, you can message us in the Q&A box to ask questions that you have, and we will be answering them later.